Hi everyone, my name is Cleo and welcome to my channel. The month of January, I have been posting various content about how I am resetting for 2025 from the lens of love. So today I wanted to share some of my favorite books that talk about self-love, healing, and self-confidence. I know that when we hear this word, you may not know, well, what should I be doing? Like, how do I get better at self-love? How do I strengthen the relationship with myself? And one of my favorite ways to do that is through reading. I am a bookworm at heart. I love reading, so I wanted to share 5 books that I've read over the years on those topics. Hopefully they'll inspire you and that you can read them and enjoy them as well. So let's go ahead and get into the video. The very first book is one of my favorite books. I absolutely love this book, and it is Heart Talk: Poetic Wisdom for a Better Life by Cleo Wade. One of my best friends, Megan, actually gifted this book to me many years ago. I still have the note in here because I love to keep the notes and cards from family and friends whenever I get one. But Megan was actually reading this book, and as she was reading it, she thought it would be something that I would really enjoy. And because she's my best friend, she knew right. I love this book and I love Cleo Wade. Her writing is very simple, it's very clear, but as I was reading this book, it just really did speak to my heart. I also love that Cleo Wade incorporates like almost artwork within her book. So this is, I can insert a screenshot so you can see a little bit better, but this is a page in her book where she just says "you belong," and she's written it multiple times across the sheet. She shares in this book that oftentimes she writes her poems just on pieces of paper and kind of creates these little graphics. And so she's created that note-like feel and like graphic feel within her books, which I just really think is super cool. It's super personal. Even in her intro, there was a passage that I wanted to read for you guys that I really enjoy, and I feel like does a really good job of summing up this book. But she says, when we get real and honest and raw about what we go through, we have the power to turn our words into medicine and our experiences into wisdom. This book is a compilation of notes I had written in my apartment in New York City. It also consists of poems about loving, being, and healing that have been my life rafts when I did not know how to swim in the waters of the world. And so I love the books that are like, do this, do that, and are like very prescriptive in the things that you should be doing as far as trying to achieve your goals. And I think those are really good. But also what I love about this book is just the fact that it really validates a lot of things that I can relate to personally. And so I think it's important to also feel validated and feel like someone relates and can understand the things that you are going through. So that's why I really love this book. I definitely recommend. Cleo is a great writer, and maybe this book will talk to your heart as well. Go ahead and get into the next book that I want to share. So the next book is also a book of poems. So if you haven't noticed, I really enjoy poetry. And also this book was a gift from another 2 of my friends. So my friends know me really well. They know I like to read and they know I like poems. So this is Chameleon Aura. I don't know if you can see because it's black, but there's a chameleon right there. And so this was written by Billy Chapata. I think I'm saying his last name correctly. So I actually had found Billy on Twitter. I really enjoyed his, or X now as it's called. I had really enjoyed his tweets because a lot of his tweets are actually like his words, his literature, his poetry. And so again, I had really connected with it. And so when my 2 friends got me this book for my birthday, I was like, oh my God, I love Billy. I really love Billy. So this book again is very simple, very clear. It's one of those books that I feel like just validated a lot of things that I have went through and was just like something that I could relate to as I was reading. And a passage that I want to read from Billy's intro is that as we proceed on this journey called life, we will take on many shapes, many forms, and many identities. And this is what makes us truly beautiful. The experiences we go through and the people we cross paths with only add more energy to the direction we're headed in, more detail to the ground that we step on, and more color to our narrative. We will heal and our auras will transform. We will grow and our auras will change. Here's to healing, here's to growing, here's to loving, and here's to hoping that these words keep your aura bright and colorful. And so I just really love that. First of all, I love the fact that he is using the chameleon as a metaphor for life and how we're constantly shifting, shaping, colors are changing. We're getting like our auras are changing. We're getting more bright as we're going through life. And even though things may be hard, there is a purpose and a reason for it. And so I really, really loved the way that he has written and tied everything back into the idea of the chameleon. I think it's really unique, but also it's very relevant and real. And so Billy is such a great writer. In this book, he talks about love, he talks about healing, he talks about putting yourself first, and it's a really great read. Again, it's super easy, it's super simple, and I love simple reads. That's why I love books like Chameleon Aura and Heart Talk, because they're just really simple and they really validate a lot of the things that we go through in life, and they're just really good wisdoms to get you through a hard time and just remind yourself like, hey, I'm on a journey and that is okay. So next book that I want to share is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. You have more than likely probably heard of this book. You might have already read it, but I really like this book. One, it's so short. It's only 140 pages. And I honestly believe if you just sat down one Saturday and started reading, you could probably read this in like 2 to 3 hours if you just read it straight through. What I like about this book is these are one of the more prescriptive books that say you need to do this, you need to do that, and you need to do this in order to strengthen the relationship with yourself. Don Miguel has no BS. When I say his writing is very much straight to the point, I'm not gonna BS you, we're gonna be real, we're gonna be honest, and I really, really appreciate that about his writing style in this book. Something that he says in here is, taking things personally makes you easy prey for these predators, the black magicians. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want, and because you take it personally, you eat it up. You eat all their emotional baggage, and now it becomes your baggage. But if you do not take it personally, you are immune in the middle of hell. And so I just feel like the way that that is written is just such a straight shooter, and I can appreciate that. I just love in this book how he's giving his wisdoms, and he is giving them in a very no BS way. So if you haven't read the book, just to tell you what the 4 agreements are, the first one is be impeccable with your word. The second one is don't take anything personally. The third one is don't make assumptions. And then finally, always do your best. So in this book, he walks you through each of the 4 agreements, what they mean, how you should be approaching them and applying them into your life. And it is super clear, super easy, no BS. So I definitely recommend that you read this book, especially if you prefer like a writer who just gets straight to the point, there's no extra fluff, then this book is the one for you. Okay, so I am super excited for this next book, which is titled Life, I Swear. Intimate Stories from Black Women on Identity, Healing, and Self-Trust. And this is by Dulce Louvouezo. Again, I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name correctly. And then the foreword is by Elaine Wolfroth. So I love this book. I actually found this book through one of the women that I follow here on YouTube. Her name is Alexis Spark. She does a lot of like self-growth, self-improvement, and personal development type content. And so she had recommended this book to her subscribers. Once I heard that it was written by 25 different women and really talked about identity and self-trust and kind of the nuances of navigating the world as a Black woman, I was like, I have to get this book, and I absolutely love it. In the book, it says, our stories affirm us. Our stories are full of nuances, characters, and dualities. As I've grown to understand the richness and texture of my life, I find liberty in not boiling my existence as a Black woman down to a single identity, a linear path, or limited awareness of myself. None of us are from just one place or experience. We are the sum of our parts. We are every moment, memory, and ancestor that has beautifully crafted who we are today. Ask me who I am, and I will go down a list of sights, sounds, energies, and lineages that define me. When we embrace our dimensions, we can seek more deeply into ourselves and tell our stories with more reverence. And so I just love that this book is this is like a book by Black women dedicated to Black women. And it's not necessarily poetries, but it's them sharing their stories. And so each woman has a page, and each kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but each woman has a page where she shares her own personal stories. It's very raw, it's very real, and it really resonated with me. And so it says on the back that these are 25 of today's most influential Black female voices that are sharing their intimate stories. And it's all about the exploration of transformation and growth. I think books like this are so important. And as they said, our stories are important. And because there's so many different female voices, you really get a lot of different writings and a lot of different styles. And I think that's really cool. It's like this compilation of these great, powerful writers, but they all write and speak and just have different experiences. So there's a lot that you can take from this one book because there's just so many people who are pouring into it. So I love this book. Definitely recommend, especially for young Black women who are navigating things such as identity, healing, and trust. I definitely think this is a good pickup for you to read. So our fifth and final book is this book, Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. So my therapist actually recommended this book for me. She actually did a book club where we read this book, which was really cool. So in addition to the book, but there's a workbook that comes with the book. So I love that because I feel like then it goes from, okay, I just have this book of a lot of wisdoms and ideas and things that I should be doing, but how do I actually make it actionable? And this is a 95-page action plan. So I really love this book because as you are reading, you can actually go like step by step through this book. And I think it's important, like when you're doing things like this, like the workbook while you're reading, definitely take your time. At one point I was like, should I read the book first, then come back and do the workbook? But then I feel like, you know, it's better to just be a little bit slower to get through the book because I'm taking the time to work through the sections as I'm reading them. After I got to thinking about it, I'm like, well, if I read something and then I forget what I read, then I come back and try and do the workbook. I'm like, just do it as you're reading so that things are like on the forefront of your mind. And as I'm thinking about the things that Jamie is sharing, I can take those and reflect on my own journey. The workbook is super simple, like it's nothing crazy. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up an example of like the things that are on here. So she says 2 things can be true at the same time. We can have big, beautiful, bold dreams, and we can believe we are not enough and undeserving of those big, beautiful, bold dreams. And then she has like, as an activity, describe in colorful detail a big, beautiful, bold dream of yours. And then following that, she says, now check the ways that you have been restricting yourself from achieving or moving forward on your dream. And then like an example of some of the things are not taking any steps towards my dream, continually talking myself out of my dream, giving up too soon on my dream, making excuses as to why I shouldn't go after it, or self-sabotaging or setting myself up for failure and or rejection. So this directly correlates to the very first thing that she's talking about in the first chapter of the book. And so as you're reading, you can then come here and do the activities. And I think, especially as women, a lot of us can probably relate to just how do we believe we are enough? How do we transform our life? How do we show up and take space and just like be our true authentic self and like not feel bad about taking up that space? So I am excited to continue to work through this book. And so far I've really enjoyed it. So that's our 5th and final book, you guys. I do want to say that I know there's a lot of different authors, there's a lot of different writings, and different things are going to connect with you depending on where you are and what you want to do and how you learn best. If you don't like books, there's also podcasts. Like there's just so many different ways to go about your own self-love journey. But these are just some books that I have read over the years that have been really valuable to me. So I'm hopeful that maybe you can choose one of the books that I shared today. They empower you while you are on your own journey. Again, I'm always learning, so if there are books that you like as well, leave a comment down below for my next read. I would love to read it and learn as well. If you guys enjoyed, and again, see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.